Jason Carter sat in his tiny one-bedroom apartment in Indianapolis, staring at the stack of unpaid bills on his kitchen counter. Rent was due in 2 weeks. His car loan was 2 months behind. Credit card companies had started calling daily. At 32 years old, he had always believed that hard work would pay off, but here he was stuck in a dead-end job at a call center, barely making ends meet. Life hadn't been kind to Jason. He had spent his 20s bouncing between jobs, never quite finding his footing. College was out of the question, student loans terrified him, and without a degree, his career options were limited. His current job paid just enough to survive, but not enough to build a future. One night, after another long shift filled with angry customers, Jason sank into his couch, scrolling through YouTube. That's when he stumbled upon a video titled, "How I Made $10,000 a Month Flipping Items on eBay." He clicked on it out of curiosity. The guy in the video, a former warehouse worker, explained how he would go to garage sales, thrift stores, and flea markets, buy undervalued items, and resell them online for a profit. It sounded almost too good to be true, but the more Jason watched, the more it made sense. What if I could do this, he thought. The problem? He had only $500 in his savings account, his emergency fund. But something in his gut told him this was his chance. He could either sit back and continue struggling, or he could take a risk and bet on himself. The next morning, Jason woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. He grabbed a notebook and started researching. He made a list of potential items that sold well: vintage electronics, limited edition sneakers, rare collectibles. He studied pricing trends, watched videos on how to spot valuable items, and even joined reseller groups on Facebook. The following Saturday, Jason set out on his first hunt. He drove to a flea market on the outskirts of town, his heart pounding with excitement. He knew he had to be smart. $500 wasn't a lot of money, and if he spent it carelessly, this side hustle would be over before it even started. After hours of walking through endless stalls, Jason found his first big opportunity, a set of old Bose speakers priced at just $40. He quickly checked eBay on his phone and saw similar models selling for $200 or more. His hands shook as he pulled out the cash. By the end of the day, he had spent $350 on various items: vintage cameras, collectible action figures, and even an old Nintendo console. He rushed home, set up an eBay account, and started listing his finds. Now, all he could do was wait. Jason barely slept that night. Every few hours, he refreshed his eBay page, hoping to see anything happen. But silence. Doubt started creeping in. What if this was a mistake? What if no one bought anything? He had risked most of his emergency savings, and failure wasn't an option. Then, at 7:13 a.m., his phone buzzed. eBay notification: "Congratulations. Your item has sold." Jason's heart leaped. He opened the app and saw that the Bose speakers he bought for $40 had sold for $210. He couldn't believe it. A $170 profit on his first sale. Excitement took over. He carefully packed the speakers, printed the shipping label, and rushed to the post office before heading to work. All day at the call center, his mind wasn't on customer complaints, it was on eBay. That night, Jason listed more items, tweaking descriptions and adding better photos. Within 3 days, the Nintendo console and a vintage camera had also sold, bringing his total earnings to over $600. He had officially turned his $500 into $1,100. But Jason wasn't about to stop there. With his profits in hand, Jason reinvested every dollar back into more inventory. Weekends became his hunting grounds. Estate sales, garage sales, thrift stores, he hit them all. One Saturday, at a neighborhood garage sale, Jason spotted a box of old Polaroid cameras. The owner wanted $5 each. Jason knew these sold for around $50 to $80 on eBay. He bought 10 cameras for $50. By the following week, 7 of them had sold, raking in nearly $500. Jason started developing a system. He learned what items had the highest demand, how to negotiate better prices, and even optimized his eBay listings with better keywords and photos. Jason's life was starting to look different. Just a few months ago, he was scraping by, dreading every bill that came in the mail. Now, his bank account was growing faster than it ever had. He was still working at the call center, but the difference was clear: he wasn't trapped anymore. He had options. His side hustle was bringing in $3,000 a month, almost double what he made at his job. But Jason knew if he wanted this to become something bigger, he couldn't keep treating it like just a weekend gig. One evening, while scrolling through local auction listings, Jason found a warehouse liquidation sale. A small business had shut down and everything was being sold off in bulk. He drove 2 hours to get there, hoping to find a few items to flip. But when he arrived, he saw an opportunity that made his hands sweat. A pallet of discontinued power tools. Within 2 months, he had tripled his money. His once empty savings account now had over $3,000 more than he had ever saved in his life. One day, while browsing Craigslist for deals, Jason came across an ad, storage unit auction, everything must go. He had seen YouTube videos about people flipping storage units, but it felt risky. Still, he had a gut feeling. He showed up to the auction and found himself bidding on a unit filled with old electronics, records, and vintage furniture. He won it for $450. It was a gamble, but it paid off. Inside, he found a box of rare vinyl records that alone sold for $800. The rest of the items added another $1,200 in profit. That was when Jason realized this wasn't just a side hustle anymore. This could be life-changing. The auctioneer started the bidding at $1,000, but barely anyone was interested. Jason did a quick eBay search. Individual tools from this brand were selling for $100 to $200 each. He took a deep breath and raised his hand. $1,000. Silence. Then sold. It was the most money he had ever spent in one shot. But once he got the tools listed online, the results were mind-blowing. Within 2 weeks, the tools had brought in over $6,500 in sales. That was the moment Jason knew he had to go all in. The next month, Jason sat down with a notebook and crunched the numbers. If he focused on flipping full-time, he could easily bring in $10,000 a month, something he never thought possible at a dead-end job. The decision wasn't easy. Leaving behind a stable paycheck was terrifying. But Jason wasn't the same person who had started this journey with just $500. He had built something. So, after 6 months of running his side hustle, he walked into his manager's office and gave his notice. That night, he didn't feel scared. He felt free. He wasn't just flipping items. He was flipping his life. Quitting his job was the biggest risk Jason had ever taken, but he was all in now. With no steady paycheck to fall back on, he had to make this work. But instead of fear, he felt something new: drive. His days were no longer spent on the phone with angry customers. Instead, he woke up early, scoured Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and local auctions, and spent hours researching profitable items. He no longer just bought and sold, he built a real system. Jason developed a 3-step formula for success. Find undervalued items. He used online tools to track pricing trends and only invested in high-demand products. Negotiate hard. Whether at estate sales or bulk auctions, he learned how to talk sellers down to maximize profit. Optimize listings. He improved his eBay and Facebook Marketplace ads with professional photos, SEO-friendly titles, and clear descriptions. As he refined his strategy, his profits exploded. One of his best flips came when he found a closing toy store selling off its inventory. Jason bought over 200 brand-new Lego sets for $2,500. Within a month, he had sold them all, pulling in nearly $12,000 in profit. That's when Jason realized something huge. This wasn't just a hustle anymore. It was a real business. Jason knew that if he wanted to keep growing, he couldn't just rely on flipping random items forever. He needed repeat customers and a strong brand. He created his own e-commerce store, focused on selling rare collectibles and vintage electronics. He started an Instagram and YouTube channel, sharing behind-the-scenes videos of his flipping journey. Within months, his following grew. People trusted him as an expert in finding hidden gems. This led to a game-changing shift. Instead of always chasing deals, people started coming to him: estate sellers, collectors, even businesses looking to liquidate inventory. For the first time, Jason wasn't just flipping products. He was running an empire. Jason had come a long way from that first $500 investment. His flipping business had transformed into a full-scale operation, bringing in consistent 5-figure months. But he wasn't satisfied yet. He had his eyes set on a bigger goal, hitting $500,000 in total earnings. Instead of just relying on eBay and Facebook Marketplace, Jason expanded into Amazon FBA. He started sourcing high-demand liquidation items in bulk and letting Amazon handle the storage and shipping. One of his biggest wins came when he secured 500 units of a discontinued kitchen appliance for $20 each. These appliances were selling for $150 a piece on Amazon. By the time he sold through all of them, he had netted over $50,000 in profit. That's when Jason realized the key to scaling wasn't just flipping one item at a time. It was leveraging bulk deals and automation. Jason registered his business as an LLC and hired his first employee, his younger brother, who helped with packing and logistics. He reinvested in professional photography and even launched a website offering rare collectible sourcing services. Within 2 years, Jason had gone from struggling to pay rent to earning over $500,000 in total sales. Jason's story isn't just about flipping products. It's about flipping your mindset. He didn't have an expensive degree. He didn't have a rich family. He had $500, a willingness to learn, and the courage to take risks. And that was enough to change his life.